Toyota Fortuner has always been a decent ute-based wagon, but it's never sold as well as Toyota would have hoped. Now this year it's had some safety upgrades, but is it still relevant in today's market? Well, that's where we're driving the top of the range Crusade to find out. For even more details, go to carsguide.com.au, and if you're watching this on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, share it with your mates to stay up to date with all of our news and reviews. The Fortuner lineup has a 2.8 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine, a 6-speed automatic transmission, part-time four-wheel drive and a rear diff lock. The Crusade has 18-inch alloys, side steps, roof rails, LED daytime running lights, and its exterior paint job is glacier white, and that's a standard colour. It does have a few fancy touches like paddle shifters on the steering wheel, chrome all over the place and that power tailgate. But beyond those, it doesn't have a stack of premium features, especially for something at this price point. It looks okay, but it's starting to look a bit old. The Crusade is 4,795mm long, 1,855mm wide, 1,835mm high, and it has a curb weight of 2,135 kilograms. Boot space is claimed to be 200 litres with the third row seats in use. Back here you do get cargo hooks and a 12-volt socket. Stow away those third row seats and cargo space increases to 716 litres, but as you can see, these seats chew up plenty of practical space because they're here and they don't go away. The second row doesn't fold flat and out of the way at all, but there's a claimed 1,080 litres of cargo space. I'm a realist and I never expect sort of Ritz-Carlton levels of comfort in the third row seat of a 7-seat SUV, but this is a bit ridiculous. You may have already figured out I'm not the tallest bloke in the world, and my head is fairly into the ceiling here. My knees are up around my chest. I'm sort of cheating a little bit because we've left that seat down so I get some room. And it's really not somewhere you'd like to spend any more than a few minutes. In fact, I'm never going to get in here again. For a child, it'll be fine, and that's probably where these things are best suited. You do get a few storage spaces, but no cup holders, and you've got rear air vents for what it's worth. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much extra time in here. But in the second row, it's reasonably comfortable. I'm sitting behind my driving position and I've got a fair bit of room for my knees, shoulders and head. Now this second row has 2 Isofix and 3 top tether points. There are cup holders in this fold-down armrest as well as controls for the aircon up in the roof. The Crusade is the big kahuna of the Fortuner mob, so you'd expect the interior to have a superior level of fit and finish. Well, it's all a bit of a letdown. There are soft touch surfaces everywhere and wood grain look to the instrument panel, a little bit of chrome, some hand stitching here and there, but all in all it lacks a real premium feel. Both front seats are heated and they are both 8-way power adjustable. There's a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system, and that's not really big enough or clear enough, and it's a bit clunky to use. There's also a 4.2-inch colour driver's display. The Fortuner range misses out on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There are storage spaces up front, cup holders in the middle here, bottle holders in the door as well as mat pockets. You've got pop-out cup holders for driver and the front seat passenger, and you've got a 12-volt socket and a USB charging point. And now I reckon it's time to go for a drive. On road, the Fortuner is pretty good. Well, for a ute-based wagon, that is. The suspension is pretty firm. It's got coil springs at the back. That's where it differs from the Hilux on which it's based. It tends to thump through some of the more chopped up backcountry roads that I've been on. It's not terrible, but it's not fantastic either. Acceleration is mostly okay, and I'll be saying mostly a lot in this review because there is some lag to it. I mean, you really have to give it the boot to get it moving. Overtaking, that's not ideal, and from a standing start, that's far from ideal as well, especially if you want to sort of zip in and out of traffic in the city. Steering is not as dialed in as you'd expect either. At high speed on the open road, there's a little bit of play to the steering wheel. It's not quite as precise as you'd expect. New Fortuner models have a diesel particulate filter burn-off switch, so you can hopefully avoid any DPF issues. For more on Toyota's DPF issues, read carsguide.com.au. Visibility is okay, those third row seats, even when, especially when tucked away, sort of eat into your visibility back there quite a bit. The Fortuna never quite reaches the level that you'd hope that it would, and that this much money should get you. As an all-round package, it's sufficient. It's just not at that level it should be. The Fortuna has a 750 kilogram unbrake towing capacity and 2,800 kilogram brake towing capacity, and that's a fair way below some of its rivals who can legally tow 3,100 kilograms. All Toyotas have a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. So it's pretty ordinary on-road, but how is it in the bush? During high-speed off-roading, gravel tracks, dirt tracks, that sort of thing, the Fortuna tends to skip and jar through your sort of more severe lumps and bumps. It's not terrible, it is noticeable, but it's definitely no deal breaker. At low speeds, however, that's where it sort of finds its happy place. Wheel travel is pretty good. You can drop a wheel into a deep rut and you can get it to the dirt and get it spinning and get some traction. The traction control system is pretty damn good. It's always ticking away and keeping you moving along. There's no problems there. Now on this sort of squeezy stuff, you've got to be always thinking about the vehicle's dimensions. In between trees on this tight track, you've got to always be thinking about the approach, ramp over and departure angles, which are all right on the Fortuna. It's no rock crawling sort of hardcore off-roader. It's obviously more urban focused, but it's still pretty capable. The mechanicals are there. There's no problem with its four-wheel drive system. It's got dual range. We're in four-wheel drive low at the moment, and just creeping along, and it tackles everything really easily. All versions of the Fortuna have a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating based on the latest 2019 standards. Safety gear now includes auto emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, active cruise control, lane departure warning and more. The Fortuna does not have blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert or front parking sensors. Fuel consumption is a claimed 8.6 litres per 100 kilometres, and that's on a combined cycle. For our actual fuel consumption on test, check out the figures on the screen right now. The Fortuna has an 80 litre fuel tank. The Toyota Fortuna is a solid general duties SUV. It's sufficient enough on-road, quite effective off-road, and it's rather practical in day-to-day terms. But it's nothing special. It really is starting to look, feel and drive a bit stale, and it needs more safety tech. This is a family wagon after all, and it needs more standard features to bring it up to date. Beyond its Toyota badge, there's little to recommend the Fortuna over its cheaper, more comfortable and better equipped 7-seat SUV rivals. You may disagree, and that's fine. Have your say in the comments section below.